When I was 24, I was living by myself for the first time in a studio on the ground floor in Hurst, Texas. I'd been living there for about 6 months and knew that a couple lived next door, but I never spoken to them other than the customary, "Sup, hey," passing on the sidewalk. One day, out of the blue, they bought me half a pizza. They said they saw my Vikings decorations on my car and were congratulating me on the win that day, 2009 playoffs round 2. I've always been a recluse, so I thought maybe this was normal behavior for neighbors trying to establish friendship. I ate 2 pieces of the pizza before I noticed the female peeking in through my window. I kept the blinds up on this one 24/7 because my cat's condo tree was right next to it. I didn't know what the heck was going on, but thought that maybe she was trying to see whether I was enjoying the pizza or not, and so I pretended I hadn't seen her and ate a 3rd piece. Then I saw her head creep up again from the corner of my eye and briefly saw an arm in a blue hoodie that I knew belonged to the male, and I immediately thought, they poisoned the pizza. I'm being poisoned. My neighbors are trying to murder me. Right after I thought this, I noticed for the first time a weird woody/musty taste that I was shocked and hadn't noticed before. I knew they were watching me, so I put the half-eaten piece back in the open box on my coffee table, stood up as calmly as I could, stretched to try and show that I was at ease, and made my way to the bathroom, where I slammed the door and immediately attempted to make myself vomit. The thing is, I don't really have a gag reflex, and even though I managed to make myself retch a few times, I didn't throw up. So I drank half a gallon of water, which did make me vomit, then laid in the bathtub with my phone ready to call poison control if I felt anything strange at all. I ended up falling asleep there for a couple hours and woke up fine. Several weeks later, my neighbors couldn't take the suspense anymore and admitted that they put shrooms on the pizza because they thought the batch they bought were duds and wanted to test them on me. Months later, when we had actually become friends, I asked why they hadn't simply asked me over to try them, and they said it was much more exciting to slip them to me and watch to see if I would trip balls. I ended up doing shrooms with them once more, and I had a great time. Haven't talked to them since I moved in 2013, but they were pretty great people. Weirdos, though. The both of them. My neighbor stalked me and was watching me through my bedroom window at night for an unknown amount of time. I'm a grad student living by myself in a 1st floor 1-bedroom. Been living there for over a year now. About a month ago, when it first started cooling off outside, I started hearing tapping on my bedroom window at night. It couldn't have been a tree branch because it was too insistent and irregular. I assumed it was a bird or something trying to get in where it's warm. Nothing to worry about. About a week or 2 ago, I was sitting on my bed in a white t-shirt and underwear, no bra, just hanging in the privacy of my own home with the blinds closed. I start hearing the tapping, but being used to it by now, I ignore it. Then I hear a faint voice, but assume it's just the neighbors upstairs, who I hear now and then. Nothing out of the ordinary. I put in headphones and listen to music to drown it out. After a minute or so, I realize that I can still hear the voice, even with my earbuds on. I take them off, wondering why the neighbors are being so loud. I very clearly hear the tapping and someone saying my name. Doubting myself, or thinking it's my imagination, I freeze and keep listening. Once I hear my name 3 times, I text the only 4 friends who know where I live, and they all assure me they are home and not pranking me. Freaking out, I call my boyfriend and beg him to come over. He's there faster than he's ever been, since I was clearly scared. I get dressed and we walk around my apartment building together to investigate with flashlights. We find that someone had set up a lawn chair outside my bedroom window so that they could stand on it and look down through my blinds into my bedroom. This could have been going on for any amount of time, and whoever it was could have been watching me change clothes, masturbate, bang, sleep, or whatever without me knowing. I'm on mobile and my thumbs are tired, so long story short. After more incidences like the one described above, my boyfriend catches a guy hanging outside my apartment after I asked him to come over because I was being harassed again. Turns out, the guy who was bugging me lived in the same building as me. I immediately recognized him because the same guy had been sending me creepy messages on Facebook for about a month that I had just been ignoring, saying things like, "You're so beautiful. Can we meet? I've seen you around," etc. I went to the cops and we agreed that he must have seen me around the apartments and decided to find me on Facebook. Our mailboxes have our names on the inside lid. And started creeping on my apartment. He now has been instructed to have no contact with me whatsoever, or I can call the police and he will be charged and arrested. I have since flipped the blinds the other way, got curtains on all of my windows, blocked him on Facebook, and purchased a baseball bat. My apartment building says they won't kick him out, so I'm currently looking for another place to live. My family and I used to live in a rough neighborhood when I was a kid. One night, it was just my mom, my 2 siblings, and I at home, and my dad was gone on a business trip. Around midnight, someone started knocking on our door. My mom woke up, went to the front door, and asked who it was. No one answered. She thought that maybe it was some kids playing Ding Dong Ditch, so she went back to bed. About 30 minutes later, again, someone starts knocking. She gets up and peers through the side window to see if she can spot anyone out there, but nobody is there. She starts to worry, so she goes back to the room, grabs my dad's double barrel, and sits in the living room in the dark, waiting. Then, more knocking. My mom begins shouting at whoever it is that she is going to call the cops, and that if anyone tries to come in, she would shoot them. At about 2 a.m., the police finally show up and do a quick search outside of our house while we waited inside. After their search, they told my mom that they found a piece of barbed wire about 4 feet long next to the door and asked if it belonged to my mom. She said that it wasn't hers and asked why. The cop told her it belonged to whoever was knocking on the door, that they were planning on strangling my mom with the barbed wire when she opened the door to see who was knocking. They said that she was very smart to not open the door to see who was there. Otherwise, it could have cost her life. The cops said that they'd patrol the neighborhood until morning and do a thorough investigation once there was daylight. That morning, as they were searching around the house, they found footprints leading around to the back of the house and up to my bedroom window. They had also found nicks in the windowsill where the person was trying to pry it open to break in but failed. My mom always suspected it was this one neighbor because he would always stare at my mom through his curtains and wasn't very friendly. He also knew when my dad wasn't home since he knows what vehicle he drives. We moved out of that house after that. So when I was in high school, there were a few disturbing occurrences in my neighborhood. A woman down the street who lived alone woke up one night to go to the bathroom and heard her TV on in the living room. So she naturally wandered in there, assuming nothing out of the ordinary. She found a guy sitting on her couch, watching the TV, started screaming, obviously terrified, and the guy ran out of her house. Maybe a week later, further down the street, there was a family with a young daughter. She woke up in the middle of the night with her bedsheets pulled down and a guy tickling her feet. Again, started screaming, and the guy fled. Another week or so later, 3 houses down where an elderly couple lived, The husband woke up in the middle of the night to find a man standing over his bed and staring at his wife sleeping. The old man started hollering at the guy, and the guy fled again. So now things are on super high alert. Cops patrolling regularly, etc. They somehow figured out who it was, and everyone in the neighborhood got a flyer with his picture. Behind us was a densely wooded area that stretches for a couple of miles in every direction. This guy had been literally living in those woods for upwards of a month in a tent, doing God only knows what when he wasn't breaking into houses. But the creepiest part of the story is this. One night, in the middle of all these incidents, we had our sliding glass door open with just the screen door behind it shut. This was in the summer. We had a big backyard, and it was pitch black back there at night. Our dog suddenly jolted up and started growling viciously. Like I'm talking tail stiff as a board, hair on his neck standing up, etc. Our dog was the best, nicest dog, like, ever. He never did that. So naturally, we were like, what the frick? My father jumped up and put the floodlight over the deck on to see what was back there. But there was nothing. The next morning, we were outside doing yard work and noticed the lock on our back gate was broken. Someone had clearly done it. It wasn't like it was wear and tear or something like that. It's very safe to assume that this guy tried to get into our backyard, but was deterred by my dog's growling. 15 out of 10 good boy. My dad lives in an apartment, and one day, he came home to cops outside of his door. It was very early, 5 or 5:30 a.m. They asked if they could ask him some questions, and my dad said of course, invited them in, and made them breakfast. They asked him some questions about his neighbor across the hall. Just general stuff, like have you noticed anything weird, etc. My dad told him no. He looks like a well-put-together, 30-ish-year-old businessman. My dad lives in higher-end apartments, so this is what everyone looks like. Nothing weird or out of the ordinary. The cops go on to explain that a 30-year-old woman is missing and was last seen by a security camera walking into the building with this man. But they never had any footage of her, or him for that matter, leaving the apartment. The cops stay outside and monitor the apartment until about 5 p.m. that night when they finally get a warrant. They notice a shower curtain missing and golf clubs scattered on the bedroom floor. They end up arresting the guy. Fast forward 3 weeks, and the cops find her body about 45 minutes south in the woods on the side of a bike trail. Some runners stumbled upon her. Nothing more was released on what state she was in. Then about 2 months ago, they found more tapes. As the investigators went back to look at them, they discovered the man leaving the apartment with his golf bag. But like I said earlier, all of his clubs were in his room. I'm sure many people have put 2 and 2 together. A full-size woman wouldn't fit in a golf bag, but that's how he got her out. His trial is coming up. As of right now, he claims it was an accident, and he panicked and tried to hide it since he had a girlfriend. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed and have a marvelous day. Stay humble. Stay grateful.